Hi guys, thanks so much for stopping by. So I will be doing a just the care and care tips and how to take care of a jade Gollum. And this is what it looks like. This is what mine looks like. And she is just beautiful. So I've had her for a few months now. I'm going to give you information and I'm going to tell you how I have been taking care of her. Water, light, dirt, all that good stuff, and what everybody should really do their research before buying a specific plant so that when you come home and you want them to thrive in their environment, they don't really, you kind of ease them in, because it will be a shock from their previous environment where you purchased them. So let's start now. So this is in the category of a succulent. It says here it's a family in Crassula cake, I guess. Origin is South Africa. It can bloom, and the flowers are white and pink. I've never seen mine bloom so far. I haven't even seen a bud yet, so I don't really know how to get that there. Mine could just be also that it's a little too young. And sometimes, because certain plants can take a few years before you start to see a flower or a certain size. So, and also sometimes it depends on the time of the year as well. The bloom time is infrequent, so we'll see if it ever does bloom, and if it does start to bud, or if it does start to bloom, I might do an update video, or I could just vlog it. I have a plant vlog now, and so just look at that. This can go to 1 to 3 feet in height and 1 to 2 feet in width. Exposure can be sun or shade. And so it says here, this is a kind of jade plant, because I didn't know until I got this plant that there are different kinds of jade. I saw this in a nursery and I just fell in love. I'm like, I can't leave without this plant. So I did my little research, and it said it's like, I knew how to take care of it, but I wanted to know, because sometimes I'm just never always, like, unless I have taken care of that specific exact plant, I always want to double check just in case there might be something else that I'm going to need or I don't know about. So, this has been nicknamed as the Hobbit, because this is called a Gollum. It's a type of jade plant which is called the Gollum. So there you go. It's a type of Crassula ovata, which is a jade, and again, the name is Gollum. So what I have in here is cactus soil. Believe it or not, I just watered her a few days ago. And what I use is for water, we have reverse osmosis, so it's really clean. It's like the cleanest water you could get. We have well water, that's why. I never use any other water aside from that. I do fertilize this. I do add fertilizer every time I water. That is just a rule for all my plants. I always feed them. Every time I water, I always feed them with fertilizer. And so the fertilizer that I'm using, I will link it down below. I do like it. There's the pros and cons in the current fertilizer that I'm using, but that will be for a different video on that fertilizer. It's specific for cactus. I would say there are different qualities in fertilizer, I would say. I have used the Miracle Grow, and now I'm using Dr. Earth, and I'll probably switch to a different fertilizer, because the Dr. Earth fertilizer is kind of in a messy side to use of things. But aside from that, it works well. So I will be using, I believe Schultz is what I'm using. After that, I finished the Dr. Earth, which I still have a lot. But from what I've noticed, this particular one just loves loves to be watered. Rule of thumb usually is like, just imagine, I think I watered this 2 days ago, and look at just how sandy it is. It is slightly moist when I do feel it, but it is already sandy. So usually there are certain succulents that will stay damp or moist, and this is really not that kind of succulent. Sometimes certain cacti you only water once a month, depending on the size, the age, depending on how much light it's getting. So this is getting sun exposure. It's getting several hours of light, plus I do also supplement with plant light. No, not plant light, sorry, LED light. It's in the daylight setting. It only is 800 or 850 lumens. I will link that down below as well. And the kind of lamp that I use, it's nothing special. It's just really cute and pretty to put. And a lot of other plants do share the light. I have the most probably type of plant that I have currently is cacti or succulents. So cactus fertilizer really does go through quicker with me, but I don't really mind because I love them. But I think I'm good with all the cactus for now. You know, and I just actually bought, I say it really quick, but I just actually bought some other cacti anyway. That's for a different video, but so here we go. Rule of thumb is, you know, plants usually need light. And the more light you give them, the more they feed. That means the more they need nutrients. So the less light you give a plant, the less time you need to water them. So if this is in a south facing area, and this is not the only plant that's there. I have probably close to 30 plants in that specific wall and on the table, because I have a 3-tier adjustable shelving unit. And this is one of the plants that's there. Instead of having curtains, I want my windows to be covered with plants. I know. And so, so this is one of them, and some of them, like a few weeks ago or months ago, I watered them at the same time. And afterwards, because I bought like, I think at one time, like 10 or 20 at the time. And so I transplanted them the same day, and I watered them the same day. However, as time passes, and this is what is very, very important in how you water succulents or any kind of plant that require fast draining soil, or you're using cactus soil. This is what's very important. The top part, I'm just going to leave the plastic. The top part is okay to be dry. What you need to consider is you need to put in, for this particular size, I would say 1 inch deep is okay. The bigger the plant, the deeper you want to check how moist or still wet or damp the dirt is. So for this plant, I just need 1 inch. This can be watered, because when I hit that part, all of that is really dry, as you can see, which I will get it closer. See? If this was just like watered maybe 5 minutes before I started the video, and I do that, obviously the dirt is going to be still moist, very damp. So because this was watered a few days ago, and it's just this particular succulent, I mean, I don't know why, because there are probably, I think, over 10 plants that is, benefiting from one bulb, one LED bulb. And this just loves what I'm giving it. So I am giving it the Dr. Earth cactus. Everything is linked down below so it's easy for you guys. I also have started a few months ago with Super Thrive to supplement it, and it's in for all my plants. But what I've noticed with just the Super Thrive is that because it encourages growth, it makes your plants actually able to ingest nutrients, water more. So when they do that, of course, they're going to be bigger, faster. They're going to be thicker, faster. They're going to be thicker, bigger, very lush, very healthy. Like, this is such a healthy plant. I've had, again, when I bought this, I bought about 10 to 20 different succulents at a time, all different kinds. And this is probably one of the hardiest out of all of them. One, if not the most. Because there was a time, and this is a little segue, this was a time, the cactus dirt that I got, which I do not recommend, so I will link down below the cactuses that I prefer now. I got the Miracle Grow one, and it had a lot of gnats, and we kind of really didn't notice it was that much until after, and it's been a problem. I reached out to Miracle Grow, and honestly, we just didn't have a copy of the receipt, and I paid in cash. So to me, it was like, it's your product. Like, I just don't understand why you can't help me out. I didn't ask for a refund. I just really asked for, like, can you give me the stuff to kill the gnats, essentially. And they were very good in giving me a very long email saying, this is what you need to do. And I said, are you going to give me all the things you want me to do to fix the problem? They said no. So it's like, whatever. I don't recommend Miracle Grow at all, because their system is terrible and their products are really subpar. But anyway, I still have a lot of their products because I used to really love them, and I've been a loyal customer for about 10 years, maybe more, and that's just how they treat their customers, you know? Like, just so you know, I have been purchasing their products for 10 years, and it's all year round because I have houseplants all the time. But they don't really care about that. They just really care about the bottom line. So just so you know, you're not an important person, even if you are a very, you know, important, like a client. If you are a consumer for Miracle Grow, like, they just don't care who you are. Anyway, so I don't recommend Miracle Grow. I used to actually have Miracle Grow for cactus fertilizer, and it killed my 6-year-old Zygo cactus, which is a Thanksgiving cactus. Yeah, it died. It's so sad. But anyway, so I stopped using that altogether. My husband was using it for his regular, the most popular Jade, and they started to die, and I rescued it. I don't know if I'm thinking of making a video of that, but and so long story short, I rescued it. I had to trim all the rotted roots and whatnot, and we had to, you know, clean it up and just kind of hope that it was going to survive. But we didn't use Miracle Grow cactus fertilizer from then on. So I did stop a little bit before then for mine. And so I told him, like, why don't you use, like, the Dr. Earth, which is what I'm currently using. He was really kind of hesitant at the beginning just because of what happened with the Miracle Grow fertilizer. But his Jade is thriving again, so he likes it. So anyway, that's what I'm using. And I've also kind of noticed that with Super Thrive and the Dr. Earth, because you can combine them, because fertilizer is different from a supplement for plants. So you can do both. You can do either, but you can also do both. Do not double your fertilizer. Just because they're different brands doesn't mean you can double them up and expect your plant to be thriving. That will probably kill your plant. So just be very careful. So that is what I use. Also, I do add a bloom booster for this, just because I find that, for me, from my personal experience, I prefer all my plants to actually have that unless otherwise stated. Like, my fiddle fig, I don't add any kind of bloom encouragement for that. I think that's the only plant that I don't do that to. Oh, I don't fertilize my lucky bamboo. Other than that, all of my plants, they get bloom booster and a fertilizer. So I just love when my plants are thriving. I love my plants, and like, it's so bizarre because me and my family were like, I always encourage, you know, healthy eating, healthy lifestyle and everything. But for my plants, I want them to be thick and fat and luscious and gigantic and things like that. So what I do, again, this is in like, let's just say the window is over here, right? This is in the corner here. So the sunshine is coming from this area. It does get several hours of afternoon light because it's south facing, and it also gets a few hours of LED light, and it is just thriving. Just so you know, succulents, and majority of the succulents, majority of cacti, they grow really slowly, especially if they're primarily just an indoor plant, and that is because in their natural habitat, they get a lot more light. But because they don't get that, they don't really grow that fast. And also even in their natural habitat, they usually grow in like cacti usually grow in like a sandy kind of environment. So they don't really get that much water or moisture. So with that, it really usually is a lot slower versus like a tropical plant. You know, if you want to compare in a natural environment of a cacti or a jasmine or a gardenia in Florida, you put them side by side, they're just not going to thrive the same way. The other one's still going to be faster because of the fact that it's just the type of plant there is. Because when a plant grows too, like really fast, really quickly, it needs a lot of nutrients. It needs a lot of nutrients, especially from light and then, of course, water. And that's why when you have a plant like this, especially when it's primarily just an indoor plant, they don't get that much light. You know, you can never replicate the sun 100%. So with that, it's still slow growing. When I got this, I would say this has probably grown about a quarter of the original size. I would say a quarter to a third. It was smaller. Just so you know, when you're new to plants, new to cacti and succulents, and you're one of those people that prefer plants to grow really quickly, this might not be a plant that you should lean into. However, the great thing about a cactus is that they're hardier, and if you misstep, like if you're overwatering them, you can curb that really quickly just by not watering them for 2 weeks or 3 weeks even. It's easier to curb it. If you are underwatering them, it's easier to help that as well, just by watering them really quickly. When you compare it to other houseplants that come from a humid weather, they can die really quickly, like in 2 days. They can die really quickly, and it's hard to fix that. But if you are interested in having like a hardier plant, I would really suggest either a jade, a regular or a more popular common household jade, or this Gollum jade plant. This is such a hardy freaking plant. And when I was talking about Miracle Grow with the dirt, it came with the gnats. And I would add dish soap, Dawn, into every time I would water them, because they said it kills the larvae. However, I didn't think about it at the time that it can stay in the dirt and it never goes through. It never gets washed because it's not in the ground. And when it's in the ground, you get rainwater, which washes out all the bad stuff that it's not needed there, or anything that's sitting there always gets washed away, as well as all the other stuff goes away as well. Like just the, like for example, I'm sorry, I have multiple head traumas, so I'm sorry. So like for example, you compare this to if you have a plant outdoors. What happens is that when you fertilize something outdoors, it goes away rather quickly, and usually the solution is what would you call that, more concentrated, due to the fact that it's outside and it actually goes through different layers of the dirt. And this one is contained in a pot. That's why the fertilizer concentration is usually a lot more diluted for indoor plants. So do make sure you also do read how much you need for what fertilizer you pick for your indoor plants, especially for this little guy. As I've said, I will put what I'm currently using now. I will not add a link to Miracle Grow for the cactus fertilizer due to the fact that it killed a 6-year-old plant, and it almost killed my husband's huge jade plant. It's like, I think it's like this big now. And it's all 100% indoor. We never put our houseplants outdoors yet. So I don't recommend that. I do recommend the current one that I have, but kind of because I'm not going to buy it again. I will do a full review on that one, but it does work really well. It's just really, really messy, so that's why I don't recommend it. I recommend the content of it, but it's kind of hard to measure it. I never really tried to get a teaspoon and see how much it is, so that's another thing. I would recommend the Super Thrive because not just this plant alone, my other plants are just phenomenal. We've had issues with other plants because every plant we had, we put Dawn in it, and so it was actually also not really helping a lot of them, and they are recovering. And I do believe that the Super Thrive really was the only one that helped it, because that was the only change we had. I stopped using the Dawn, and they were all still really sickly looking. And then as soon as I got this Super Thrive, I added it into the solution of when I feed them, which is water, fertilizer, and usually that. But now with Super Thrive, the results were within 48 hours, 48, 72 hours. I could, like, some of them was even just within a few hours after I watered them. It was that instantaneous. So I do recommend that product. Don't worry, everything is linked down below again. And again, with this one, for this particular size right here, and I will measure the pot. I have a 6-inch pot saucer. I will measure the pot for anybody there who is interested. So this might be an 8-inch pot. Yeah, this is an 8-inch pot. For this one, I recommend about an inch, but let me see. Excuse me. I think an inch should be okay. If this was actually bigger, if it was going to be in a bigger pot and it's a few years old, I would probably wait like an 1.5 to 2 inches to do the watering. That's what I used to do with my Zygo cactus. That's what I did. The bigger it was, the less frequently I would water it. And it was very, very healthy until Miracle Grow Cactus Fertilizer killed it. So that's a sad story right there. I miss that plant every day. Every day. It has lived with me. It lived with me for 3 different apartments. 3 different apartments and 1 house. So like 4 different places, and just, it was sad. But again, if you're looking for something to add to your collection, I do recommend the Gollum Jade plant. I recommend it. It's unique. I believe it's really beautiful. It has this tubular kind of shape to it, and it has the red outlines in the ends. It says it's supposed to flower, but there is no particular time it would flower. And with succulents, unless it's one of those succulents that is expected to flower and they have been trained to flower, it's going to be something in which it's going to be a rare occurrence for that plant to flower. But I am excited when it does flower. I believe it has to be a lot bigger for it to flower, but that's okay. I still love how it looks. It does feel the same as like how a household like common jade would be. It's just tubular and it's not flat. I really do love this plant. I don't see it everywhere. It's very hardy. It's very easy to take care of. For whatever reason, it lately only, like it's only been in like the colder months. I don't know why in the summer it wasn't really needing that. But I just recently added a floor lamp, and it could be that because it's, you know, it's getting the extra light. So it's digesting a lot of the water and the food that I give it. I recommend this little guy. I love this plant. This is probably like one of my current favorites. I know you're not supposed to have a favorite, but I do. And I just love it. It stays right there. It doesn't move a lot. It's, you know, it's a cactus. Cactus don't really move a lot, but some plants do, like a zygo cactus or an Easter cactus or a Christmas cactus. They will move just because they're kind of on the thinner side. But anyway, they don't give out any smell. They just kind of, they're just hardy. They're hardy. It's hard to kill. I have plants that were really on their last leg when we did the Dawn situation to try and fix the Miracle-Gro issue that they gave us in our life. But this one, it never dropped any of the, I think that this is a leaf. Yeah, never dropped them. It never yellowed, nothing. So if you want to start in the cacti or succulent world, I would recommend this or the other jade. That's why it's very common when you go to nurseries, and they're not very expensive, because not this jade, but the flat jade, because they're very hardy, they're very easy to clone, and they're also very easy to just grow. Very, very easy, and they're just so beautiful, I think. I think if you're not into gardening yet, you want to dip your toes into it, and you don't really, like, you're fascinated. Let's just say you're fascinated. The thing is, when you're gardening, especially the indoor gardening, they slowly grow, and you see them all the time because you're indoors. You really see the reward because your plants like thrive and grow or bloom or just keep on growing, and because you really, you see the efforts that you put in. And that's why so many people love to garden, love to grow plants, because you see the reward. It's a very rewarding hobby, Again, make sure you use cactus fertilizer if you want to fertilize it. Use Super Thrive if you want to supplement. Only please use drinking water when you are watering your plants. Do not use tap water. If you want to, please test your tap water, because certain tap waters, depending on the area you live in the country, there are a lot of chemicals in there because they do recycle water. That's what the government does when you get the government water. So please check that. If you want your plants to thrive and be better, distill your water or buy distilled water, or get one of those filtered waters. Again, I have reverse osmosis. It's like the cleanest water you could get. So just make sure you have very clean water, because certain minerals, it just doesn't get flushed down because you have them in pots. If they were in your backyard or your front yard, because it rains, you know what I mean? Like, it will just go through. It's fine. But for house plants and potted plants, make sure water is number one. Number two would be light. If you do not have windows, you can always get a lamp, LED lamp. It doesn't cost a lot of money. I have been using it for months. I checked my bill, and it's not a difference at all, like maybe $1. but I have 3 lamps so far that I do turn on no, 4 actually, that I do turn on for hours. And one of them, I have them on like sometimes 10, 14 hours a day. So just make sure it's LED. You can use a regular LED light or a bulb, or you can use an LED plant light. Again, I will link everything down below. This one, I will link down below the lamp that I use. It's super cute. I love it. And it doesn't have a shade, so a lot of plants really do get a lot of the light. And of course, the bulb that I use. This doesn't get any kind of plant bulb. It's just a regular LED bulb, but I did choose the daylight option because it actually is, from my experience, better. When I use the other ones, like the soft color or the soft white or the yellow color, I forgot the name of that, it just doesn't have the same effect on the plants than it would the daylight. That's my personal experience so far. So I do recommend getting the daylight version. So there you have it. This is all I could really think of to talk about the Gollum and how I've been taking care of it. And it has thrived significantly, and I am just completely in love. Some of my plants are still recovering from almost dying. So when they are better, I can do a much more better share in how I cared for it, how you should care, or what has been successful for me. And if you want to implement some of them or all of them to help anybody out there that's kind of struggling with the same plant, I will do that. I will do that for everybody out there that wants to watch. So again, the Jade Gollum plant, one of my favorites. I really, really love this. And I just can't wait until, like, you know, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now and see just how much it has grown through the, you know, through the times. And they're my green babies. They're just my foliage babies. They're my plant babies. I have a lot of them, and I can't wait to have more. I hope you enjoyed my video. I did as much as I could, as much knowledge as I could. I tried to dump it in this one particular video. If you guys still have any questions, comments, suggestions, let me know down below. If you haven't yet, please do hit the subscribe button and the bell so you're notified every single time I upload a new video. I hope you hit the like button, that you enjoyed my video. Again, anything else, it's down below, and all my social media accounts is down below as well if you want to connect. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!